All right, ma'am. Now, your gun is ready to fire. You'll get a grip on it with your right hand. Support it with your left. Support it with your left. Bring your elbows out. Lock them straight. Now fire right at the good section of the target.
The little manuals that you have that were furnished by one of the shooting foundations pretty well sum it up. And keep them in with your cookbooks. They make a pretty good reference if you ever need anything like this. Up to this point, we have gone through the routine of practice. We are going to now do a little tiny bit of something very similar to combat shooting. It seems incredible that you would ever have to do anything like we're going to do here today, but simply we want you to know, and you want to know, how it can be done. Okay? We have our volunteers, 4 or 6 people. Let's go down here.
Now, double action firing, fire 5 rounds.
That's a heavy caliber. That's about 38. That makes a lot more noise. Is that her own? Probably. That's her own, yes.
Well, if there's going to be another riot, I want to be prepared. And let me tell you one thing. He better not show his face in front of my house, because if it means my own life, I'd shoot him. Fear is fear, and when you get fear into you, you'll do anything. And I know what fear we had when we look up in the sky and see the sky all illuminated. It wasn't very pleasant.
I don't like the idea of shooting at anybody. I mean, I don't mind target shooting. That sounds like fun, but people, I just don't like the idea at all. But if it's necessary, I mean, you know, you do what is necessary. What is it? Necessity is the mother of invention or something? Or is that the opposite? Is that the way it goes?
You're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Good.
So you didn't miss by much.
No.
It's going to happen. There's been too much, well, the robbing of the arsenal in Pontiac, and the stores are being robbed of guns and everything else. Somebody's doing it.
I'm kind of apprehensive about the whole thing. Last year was pretty bad. I've been thinking about arming myself, my wife. You know, my father here, he lives next door to me. He's armed, and I know several other people who've taken the trouble to go and buy a gun. And I think quite a few people around here actually are worried about it, even though we didn't have a terrible time last summer. It was in the city, of course. If the city or the government can't stop it, then there's going to be a little trouble in the suburbs or with normal people.
Why am I mad? You know, white people ask me, why am I so angry? And, you know, I don't have any answer for him, because it'd be ridiculous for me to answer him, because he couldn't understand anyway, obviously, because he asked me the question.
Do you know, have you heard any black people arming? You hear of Avon Township, Springfield Township, Waterford Township, you know, by the verse of Birmingham, that you have racist state representatives that are telling them to arm, like Coon and Harvey Lodge. You don't have, listen, if a black man was a state representative and was going around in the county telling black people to arm themselves, he would be in prison for inciting a riot.
Right.
Well, aren't there black people telling their people to arm?
Self-defense.
She made the distinction
I
between
said
black
the
people and
black legislatures. Sure, but if a black legislature was out in the county telling black people to arm themselves, where do you think they'd be now?
If they got into jail before they killed it.
Before they killed it. But Harvey Lodge and Coon is jumping all over the town, and they're a big deal.
You know, in the 400 years that I've existed there, 3 years, you know, 3 generations within my own family, why don't you know what I'm like? What is it so new in 1968 or, you know, in the 60s that you've got to learn? Because my grandfather was born, you know, he's 90. My mother was ready for integration. You know, she's middle-class Negro. Now, all of a sudden, you come to me, and you say, you know, communicate with me. Hell, I've been here all the time. And we've been. Where were you? Communicate. You know, what do I have to say to you? The most advanced nation in the world. It has to be resolved. It has to be resolved because I want my children to have an answer. If not me, I personally prefer that I have an answer. I don't have, I like to think I don't have my lifetime to waste on this.
If you think we're going to the gas chambers like the Jews did, you're insane.
We're not going to be.
I'm not going to be singing and praying and going to the gas chambers. And, it's a very real possibility. People talk about genocide. A lot of people talk about it, especially now. And a lot of people don't believe it. But it's a very real factor. It's a very real factor. And white people arming themselves to bring this thing about. And it's a very real thing, and black people decide they're not going to the gas chambers on their knees.
This is what some discussion came up in the chambers of the city commission, and someone said something about 25 million black people, and you could hear a little mumble in the background, yes, and we've got 25 million graves. This is a very real thing. This is what they're planning for us.